if they don't disarm, we will disarm them. And it'll happen quickly and perhaps violently.
We have just witnessed the announcement of something that was never achieved: peace in the Middle East.
This took 3,000 years to get to this point. Can you believe it?
Well, it's hard to believe because Gaza is still a demolition site and Hamas is still in power. And normally I would be very skeptical about this plan, but it seems it's a plan that involves something greater than just Gaza. You see, we have no idea what was actually in those documents signed by Trump and the other leaders. But even before this plan was announced, there were certain leaks in the internet of documents showing how this rebuilding of Gaza could look like. And the immediate arrival of equipment sent by Qatar shows a real intent to rebuild Gaza. And despite Gaza being a very small territory and looking insignificant, is actually at the crossroads of trade routes. And going back even to the ancient times, to the times of ancient Egypt, controlling Gaza was critical for controlling trade routes. Whoever controlled Gaza controlled trade. Today, there is one more advantage to controlling Gaza, which is often omitted. You see, for a long time there was a joke in Israel. God gave the Jewish people the Promised Land, but He gave them the Promised Land in the only space in the Middle East where there is no oil. Well, that is no longer a valid joke. You see those blue shapes on the sea? Those are natural gas fields found recently by Israel. And the biggest of this field is called Leviathan. Now, where did we hear about Leviathan? Oh yeah, the Bible. In Isaiah chapter 27, we read, for example, that the Leviathan represents the evil forces that will be judged by God. Here, it represents this monster of a gas field that was found in the sea by Israel. It can change the nation's economy. Now, just the Tamar gas field is big enough to supply Israel for 20 to 30 years. But what must be understood is that those gas fields are really far away from the coastline. So what do? You build a production platform much closer to the coastline where waters are much more shallow, and then build pipes that connect the gas field with the production field. And this is exactly what has happened. Elements of this platform were created in the United States and transported to the Near East, where it was reassembled together in its desired position. Now, where is this location? Well, if you look at the map, it is located right next to where Gaza is. However, having such a valuable structure just next to a territory which is very dangerous is a little bit risky. In fact, in 2023, when the war in Gaza started and many rockets started being fired by Hamas, the production of the platform was halted. The Tamar platform was commissioned in 2013, and despite weighing 35,000 tons and with a height of over 70 meters, it is still smaller than the commissioned in 2019 Leviathan platform, which weighs over 40,000 tons. The Leviathan platform is a floating skyscraper-sized industrial complex anchored to a seabed. It is huge. Now, just those two gas fields, the Tamar and Leviathan, are not only enough to supply Israel's domestic needs, but Israel can export gas to countries like Jordan and Egypt. And once this gas arrives to Egypt, it is then liquefied and sent to Europe. Can you imagine this? Now, Israel supplies Europe in gas. But that's not all. There is a much bigger project on the horizon. A brand new trade route that is both marine and land that would start in India, go through Saudi Arabia, and leave Israel to Europe. This would be an alternative to the old trade route, which led through the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, which was very unstable next to Yemen, and then go through the Suez Canal. But now there is a push to create a new trade route called the India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor. And it is the one that Netanyahu spoke about at the UN.
Through the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, to Europe. This is an extraordinary change, a monumental change.
The plan to build this link was approved by the European Union, Saudi Arabia, India, and the United States in September 2023. And then this happened. Now guys, remember, for this plan to work, you had to have Saudi Arabia, Jordan and Israel cooperating together. And in September 2023, it was really close for Saudi Arabia to join the Abrahamic Accords and make this possible. But there were also nations that were not happy about this new economic plan. Iran saw it as a threat to the regional power. And for China, it is a rival to the Belt and Road Initiative, which also is an economic plan announced by China in 2013, a land trade route that goes through Kazakhstan, Russia, Belarus, Poland, and Germany. Now, because Russia began a full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, and Belarus became a vassal ally of Russia, this trade route was also limited. A war with Hamas is followed by a war with Iran, which is very close to developing its own nuclear weapons. But as we remember, this is prevented by a joint Israeli-United States strikes on their nuclear facilities. Iran was very close to developing a nuclear weapon that would be a threat not only to Israel but also other Arab countries. That's why it had to be prevented. And Trump himself said that this historical announcement of the peace deal could not have happened if Iran's nuclear capabilities would not be knocked out.
Well, I'll tell you, I think it really started when we took out the nuclear capability of Iran. When you look at what they had.
So guys, let's just look at the timeline. In 2022, Russia begins a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. This is followed by September 2023, which is the announcement of the India-Middle East-Europe corridor, which then shortly after Saudi Arabia is expected to join the Abrahamic Accords to make it happen. But then we have a sudden attack on Israel by Hamas, which stops the whole process. The war between Israel and Iran starts, and then we have the famous Operation Midnight Hammer, where the United States strike Iran's nuclear facilities. And finally, on October 13, 2025, Hamas releases all the living hostages from Gaza, and a new peace plan is announced by Trump, which basically means a return to the India-Middle East-Europe Corridor Initiative. But again guys, for this to work, you gotta have peace in Gaza. Otherwise, this whole plan doesn't make any sense. And Gaza will be a problem if it will remain in its current state, meaning a pile of rubble. And this is why very ambitious plans have been proposed to rebuild Gaza. But to transform Gaza, you not only need a lot of money. The World Bank estimates that you would need over $53 billion to rebuild Gaza, but you also need to get rid of Hamas. And what is becoming more and more clear now is that Hamas will not disarm itself. Hamas simply wants to stay, and it will not disarm itself unless somebody will force it. But that's also a problematic solution because that solution involves a lot of casualties. Guys, before I continue, if you like this video, please consider subscribing to my channel. Hit that bell button and give a like to this video. Thank you so much. So guys, as long as Gaza will be a hatchery for terrorists and rockets will continue to be fired on Israel and Israel's security will be threatened, then I don't give this plan a lot of hope. We also need to remember that Hamas still hasn't released all the bodies of the hostages. And those were very clear terms. Hamas was supposed to release all the hostages, including the bodies of the dead hostages. That was why Israel halted its military operation in Gaza. Israel did that because Hamas agreed to release all the hostages. That was a very clear element of this 21-point peace deal that was proposed by Trump. And one of those points was clearly saying that within 48 hours, all the hostages are to be released, living and dead. But as of October 16th, so way over the 48 hours, Hamas still hasn't released all the bodies. Now the question is, do they know where all the bodies are? But the Israeli intelligence is saying that they know where a lot of those body remains are, and they are not willing to release them, or just give information where they are. Now, the coalition of Trump, Qatar, Egypt and Turkey did something that everybody thought is impossible: the release of the living hostages. That truly is a game changer, because now Hamas lost its most important cards, so living people, living hostages. And now when the most important asset is taken from them, a brutal force may be used to eliminate them. And these are not my words, those are words of President Trump.
Guarantee that is going to happen.
Well, they're going to disarm, and because they said they were going to disarm. And if they don't disarm, we will disarm them.
How will you do that?
I don't have to explain that to you. But if they don't disarm, we will disarm them. They know I'm not playing games.
Yeah, of course they're not playing around. Look at the countries that were present at the announcement of this peace deal. Those are countries of a combined GDP of $47 trillion. And of course they will not allow such a small territory as Gaza to destroy this ambitious plan. And it is possible that the destruction that Gaza saw before is just a foretaste of what is coming in the future. Now, we already see this plan being implemented by India decapitating from the Russian oil. Now, listen to Trump saying that he's not happy that India is buying all this oil from Russia. This is not according to this new plan.
No, we were not happy with him buying oil.
And now India finally made the decision to stop buying Russian oil. This is right after this announcement of the great peace deal in the Middle East. Just listen to Trump announcing this huge news.
And he assured me today that they will not be buying oil from Russia.
India, of course, is a key element to this battle against China for world dominance. And China, to oppose this offensive, has put restrictions on rare earth minerals where they have on those almost a monopoly. So yeah, we are basically in a new trade war between the United States and China because of this deal. There's still many things that must fall into place for this to work, but there is a real push for it to work. And if it will change the Middle East like never before. Are we looking at a piece we read in the Bible, in the prophet Jeremiah, where it says, "Peace, peace," when there is no peace? Or maybe it's a false piece of the false prophets, of which prophet Ezekiel writes about. It is smart to watch the signs of the times. We are living in extraordinary days never seen before. Guys, I want to take a moment now to thank everybody who's supporting me. As you understand, to create such a video, it takes a lot of time, a lot of research, a lot of materials that need to be gathered and put together. And most of the stuff you see, so maps, 3D animation, I make myself from scratch. It takes a lot of time, I like it, it's very enjoyable for me, but I am also very thankful to everybody who's supporting this work. So, if you like what you see, you enjoy the visuals and generally my style of presenting, I would ask you to consider supporting me and my channel. This would be a great help for me and really help me out here. The best way to do it is through Patreon and PayPal, and I will leave links to both of those sites in the description of this video, so you will find it below this video. I want to say also that even a like, a comment is a huge help for me. So if you can subscribe to my channel, give a like, hit that bell button, that will also be greatly appreciated by me. And if you can't support me financially, that's okay. I still really appreciate you watching this video. I will create those videos because I believe it is important to create them, and I believe it is important to share a positive message about Israel. This is my mission, and that's why I began this channel. And I want to continue that. I am still enjoying it, so it's a great honor that I can do it. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you for watching this video till the end. I wish you all the best, shalom, and see you in the next video.